Can you tell us about selection, or can you tell us much, given we're Wednesday?
We'd prefer to hold a little bit of it at this point because we are quite early, and I haven't actually got to all the players yet. We just finished the main session, so it was a good one. It was a robust session. We had a good hit out, and so we've still got a little bit to go through around selection. So I won't be giving too much away today, unfortunately. Yeah, I can talk about some guys and their form. I'd love to talk about the boys, especially the guys that are knocking on the door. And you mentioned Wayne. He's really done exactly what we were after. Go back and get some game time under his belt and match fitness and build his confidence and his execution. And we know what he brings, and we can't wait to get him in the side, but we want to time that right. Can't ask more of him at the moment. It's just going to be a timing issue that we get it right. Every week, I reckon. Every week. Then you talk about guys like Haitley, guys like Berry. These guys are pumping out, really strong games in the SNFL and basically saying, look, I'm ready to play at the higher level. It's a huge step up, we know that, but their games at this point are the best I've seen since they've been at the footy club, both of those guys. So with that comes the challenge of, what are we doing at AFL level? And, we pick on certain values that we like to play by, and we want to put the strongest team out there we can. At the same time, we want to give guys who are there an opportunity to perform, and it's not one game that's maybe not quite getting roll done that you go out. So it's been quite a good discussion this week in match committee about where we actually go.
On that, just with it not getting the roll done, maybe we're reading too much into it, but it looked like Harry was lining up on a twos team in the back end of that sort of match simulation. Is that an impact?
Sometimes it is, yeah. For Harry, I mean, we're doing a fair bit of work with Harry on his game, and we're challenging him in a number of areas. He's a really important part of the future of this footy club. But today was another one of those challenges. We gave him another role in what is, we do a small match sim where we like to get a look at maybe what the opposition are going to do. So he took that challenge on. Harry's form at the moment isn't where he has been in the past. He's struggling with a little bit of confidence. Has dropped away a little. So that's one of the discussions we're having at this point. When you have Harry struggling a little, does he need to go back and get some confidence, find his game again? Does that give an opportunity to Haitley or to Berry? Well, that's the discussion we're having. And for Harry, as I said, I think from a long-term point of view, players go through these challenges. We've seen it with Riley, who's gone back for a different reason, probably to junior, to Wayne Miller. Riley's gone back to find a little bit of that confidence, and we've been really pleased with what we've seen there. Playing a couple of different roles, but getting the job done ahead of the ball, working on the areas we really wanted him to, like getting at the footy, but definitely adding to that sample as far as what he does around the ground.
Can you make any changes to that forward this week?
Well, we were pleased with what Tex was able to do, from an experience point of view, and I mentioned post-game he straightened us up. He really does give you that focal point, to go to. He presents all the time. He's an experienced player, and when he's given an opportunity one-on-one, you're confident that he's going to get the job done for you. So that was great to have him back in with that young forward line. We've been throwing around ideas around whether are we too tall or are we too small. So there's discussion going on in that space as well. And I can talk about another player, Shane McAdam, who's a couple of really solid weeks at SAFL level. He brings a different dynamic too, because he brings both aerial, when he can get at the footy in the air and do the incredible, but he also brings pressure on the ground, and that's been the area we're not getting right at this point. We're not bringing enough pressure in our front half, and the ball's spending far too much time transitioning down the ground. So we'll have a look at that as well this week. Yeah, it is, and that's why we don't. It's not something we do immediately after one performance. So going back to what I'm saying is, there's a balance with that. We like to give these guys as much opportunity as we can, and with some, every now and then when someone's ready to come in, we need to make a hard decision. But we're very mindful of who we do that with and what sort of opportunity they've had at AFL level, because the step is huge. The speed of the game at AFL level is something you don't know until you actually get there. So we like to give those guys a few weeks to settle in and get used to that speed before we make a decision maybe they're not going to stay there. Yeah, it is, and it can go the other way. We're cautious of if you leave a young player in for too long and they're not, I want to use the right word here, but let's say they're drowning, they're not up to the level, they can lose a lot of confidence. And that's the thing we don't want to do. So there's a real balance with selection. I think we've done that well as a group to this point. I think, we've shown the way Riley's performed back at SNFL, and he's found confidence, and when you see him walk around the hallways and the smile on his face, he's enjoying his footy. As I said with Berry, if we go back a number of months or back to last year, Berry was challenged. He's played at AFL level and found himself back in the SNFL. Well, he's now found another level on his game. He understands now what it is to actually get that opportunity. He also understands what it is to stay there. So he's taking his game to another level.
You mentioned it was a robust session, having been an animated chat with Rory on the sideline. Do you want to share any of that?
Yeah, happy to share. That's why we train. We did a fair bit of work around some areas we got wrong last week, and we looked to work on those today. And I'm glad we did, because we'd rather have that moment today at training than the first moment on the weekend against Richmond. So, yeah, we continue to work things. Scrappy training is good training. We don't want training to look perfect. That's why we do it. We get another light session in before the weekend so we can really polish that up and get it right. But we're all about those discussions. Let's be out, let's talk about what we see. And that's a challenge for us going forward, that consistency of being able to understand roles, understand structure and what the team needs at any point. The team's more important than the individual, and we'll keep working through that.
What gets said then? Rory sort of gesturing to a few positional places he should have been, or perhaps around the stuff. Could you just share sort of what gets raised and what was your response?
A lot of jargon. So a lot of, we'll talk through a lot of positioning. One should be with 3, 4's got to do the deal with 2. So it's quite a good discussion about what did you see, what was actually played out, where was our communication, did we get the communication right? And on that occasion, it all came back to the lack of comms. So we repeated that stoppage and we saw the result we were after, which was great. So.
Does Rory normally take that sort of role? Just discuss it with you. For a guy who's relatively calm, he looked like he was maybe
he's good. He's up and about. Sloaney, isn't he? Yeah, no, Sloaney and I will talk all the time. Off and off the field, we'll review a lot of that stuff. It's not quite as clear cut as what today's was. But that's why we value Sloaney so much, because he is that on-field leader. And for him to make sure he's got clarity around what it is we're doing, that's really important if he's going to lead out there.
Speaking of reviews, how did you review the final 30 seconds now? You've had a couple of days to look at it.
Yeah.
With the space in front of Elliot, probably a bit of space to just talk us through your reaction to the last play of the game.
To the moment? Yeah.
How did you review it?
We often talk about moments. The game's not about necessarily one moment. And if we looked at our game, we'd say, unfortunately, that moment showed itself. There were about another 10 or 15 occasions where we had an opportunity to score and didn't complete the play. We lacked that polish, especially in our front half. So when we did review that particular, moment, we looked at Ben Keys and the way he was playing that out. We were looking for a contest. We knew there was limited time on the clock, so he was going reasonably direct with the ball. Didn't work on that occasion, and we went to work on that at training again today, because unfortunately it was consistent across the game. We turned that ball over far too easily in our front half. It's our big work on. It's our big work on that connection between midfielders and forwards, and we talk about that being cohesion. That's how many games has Tex played with Ben Keys? How many games has Ben Keys played with Harry Schoenberg? There is a cohesion number that we produce. At the moment, that cohesion number's not where we need it to be. We'll get it there though. That's why we're playing games of footy.
How do you balance that with someone like Ben, who obviously when he's the ground, he covers and his ability to get to the head? So the game is obviously lead, great accumulator, but I think my own mission with this kicking game would be not super strength. How do you put a balance his role and responsibility he has with that role?
Yeah, I mean, we like to talk about a player's weapons more so than focus too much on the areas they've got to improve. But we're also playing professional football at the elite level, so there's a certain expectation. But let's not look at it as just this is Ben Keys' issue. There's a connection piece in this, and that takes time. That takes time of playing games. I had the pleasure of working with Taylor Walker and Tom Lynch in the same side when I first arrived at the footy club, and I can tell you that was the ultimate cohesion and connection that I've ever seen with two players, in a footy club. That's because they played 200 odd games together, and so that's what we're looking to do at the moment. Not just Ben Keys and Taylor Walker or Ben Keys and Lockie Gallant, but the entire group. That's why we train today. That's why we're learning so much in games of footy at the moment. And that's frustrating for everyone, even for us. Because we want to be winning. Everyone wants to win at this level. We've been a kick away twice this year where we haven't got the job done. We probably won the game that most people would say we shouldn't have on the night, and we lost the two games maybe we could have. That's our challenge. That's where we're at. We'll continue to build connection. We'll continue to work on our game.
How's Rich pulled up?
He pulled up quite well. Yeah, he's pulled up well. We were concerned because hip pointers they can stick around for a while, but it was basically just a bruise above, so he's pulled up well. At this stage, he'll be available. We were very much light duties today with him. In fact, there are a number of guys on a 6-day break. We were very cautious with, you would have seen a number of guys with fluoro hats on, which is the no contact. But at this stage, we're pretty confident, most of those guys will get up. We've also got the Sanford on, they play Friday, so that's a shorter break as well. So today was a little bit lighter in that respect, even though we bashed and crashed for a good 10 minutes. Look, I can't control the way people behave at the football. Unfortunately, that's not something that I can control. We sit in behind the glass as a coaching group, and it's nearly a soundproof booth. So I've heard a lot about how it went down. Again, I can't control the way they behave. We haven't had a conversation around it. So Tex hasn't felt the need to come to me and talk through it at this point. So I haven't had a conversation. I can't answer for him.
How do you think you'd be received by home fans?
Oh, I'd like to think he'd get a fair bit of support. As I said a number of times, we're all humans and we make mistakes. And so I've got no doubt our supporter base will get behind him, and as they do the team, ultimately he's out there, performing as the rest of our guys are. And I thought last week, as I said before, he to come in and perform the way he did, it shows the work he's done, shows what a professional he is when it comes to his footy.
Did that change you think? Did you make them based on perhaps matchups and opposition with Richmond, or where you think your guys are at currently?
Oh, massive amount of respect for Richmond. We got a chance to watch them over the weekend. We were down in Melbourne, and they really did lift their game on the weekend. That was an outstanding performance. So we'll have a good look at the opposition, but we're doing a fair bit of work on ourselves at the moment. Looking to improve our game. We've got work in that space we've got to do. So we've had our opposition meeting already. We had that this morning. We'll touch a little bit more on Richmond, but from a selection point of view, it won't necessarily be around matchups. It'll be us trying to put our best side out there that we can.
How hard is it, just to go back on connection and experience and those sort of things, how hard is it to build real identity for a team and make to do having a clear look at Richmond because everyone understands the play? How long is that going to take?
Yeah, great question. I mean, you can go back and look at data of what teams have been able to do over time, and I've got a huge amount of respect for Brisbane and what they've been able to do and where they are now. I think the league would agree on they have a style of football they play and a DNA as we talk about now, and the league respects that. How long did that take them? You look back, well, it's part of what we're going through at the moment. We're working through. It does take time. It's not something that you don't just put 100 games on a player. That takes a good 4 or 5 years, for that to happen. So it's us getting the balance right. You've seen what we've been doing over the last 12 months, 24 months with acquisition. We bring in players that have that little bit more experience. We draft players in the draft that we feel are going to add to us. Every now and then you get I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but you're pleasantly surprised at what a number 1 draft pick does for you, or a number 6 draft pick, you know, with us this year. And they play at a level that you probably don't expect for them to play at 4 games in. So there's no exact science to it, but we're definitely working our way through that at the moment.
Did you hear Rocky's comment earlier across from Rockford's criticism of Adelaide recently?
No. Tommy's coming at us, is he?
Oh, further to the identity, he said that on the field it looks like there's a lack of identity and you don't know what Adelaide's going to do. But, for someone to watch, you can see that there's clearly a plan in place, but when you hear criticism of players don't have an identity or there's no identity about the team,
Yeah.
how do you react to that?
I think I understand maybe where Tom's coming from, because at the moment this year we played 4 games. You know, there's no doubt internally we have a DNA that we're looking to put out on the track. Are we doing it consistently at the moment? No, but we're seeing it in patches. The other part we're doing really well is we're adjusting, and you know we're really hard to play against at the moment, and we've proven that in most games. Collingwood, you know, we didn't really perform across the 4 quarters, but we've been challenged. We've stood up under those challenges and really been hard to play against. Have we got the game on our terms on the weekend? No, we didn't. But we were able to stick in the game and fight it out, which is, you know, that's part of the DNA we're looking to produce. So I understand Tom's comments. They're probably about what we've put out for 4 weeks, and that's fair. But that's part of our development process, is to, you know, we want to put something out consistently, and we're seeing that now from Melbourne, for example. You know, we know they're an experienced side. They're able to put out, you know, very much the same DNA each week. Well, that's where we're trying to get to.